So it's 2012, and the game is Rebound Rumble. Basically a basketball game, and the big change at 12-18 was the addition of James Martin to the team. James came on board as a physics teacher and a full-time robot mentor. So tell us about the game.
Okay, all right, here we go. So Rebound Rumble, like you said, is a 3-on-3 basketball game. We're playing the game with foam basketballs. They're a little different, and that comes in a little bit later. We'll talk about that.
About 9 inches in diameter.
9-inch diameter ball. There are a lot of them on the field, and you as a robot are allowed to only carry 3. So between you and your alliance partners, you can hold 9 basketballs at a time, and you're shooting against one of 4 basketball targets. So you've got
regulation nets,
regulation net, regulation backboard, but they're stacked. One is up tall, there are 2 in the middle, and there's 1 down below, and they're worth different point values. This is also an interesting game, I think, because there was a big divider down the middle of the field that made it more difficult to get to your opponent's side of the field. So you were making a choice of whether you were designing a robot that could get over a 4-inch vertical wall, 4-inch vertical bump, or you were sticking on your own side.
Or going over the ramp.
Now, there were ramps, right? There were ramps, balanced seesaws that were available to you, but it took an extra few seconds to engage that ramp and tilt it to your side and then drive over it. So you had to make that kind of strategy decision there.
And as I recall, one of the horrible things is if a ball gets caught under the ramp,
Yes.
there's no way to pull it down.
That's right.
So, Rob, why don't you tell us a little bit about the mechanical design? This was a new design.
Again, 3-on-3 teams. We decided to go a longer robot than a narrower robot because we could hold and sort of serialize 3 balls better. We called it the Vulcan Viper. We used this just crazy, we had such success with Taz, with picking up balls with brushes. We decided to go with this beautiful brush system of sweeping the balls in. And again, these balls do not rotate nicely when they're touching each other, so you really just have to jostle them. And our goal was to get 3 balls in and then lift them up into this beautifully made hood shooter where we, for the first time, used a camera on board.
Like a baseball pitching machine.
Like a baseball pitching machine with a camera that would track the basketball nets. And you can talk a little bit about the...
Yeah, so this was our first time with the ability to track a target, to determine the elevation and azimuth of the target, and then translate that into motion of our shooter so that we could shoot directly at it. And in theory, it worked really, really well. We had a shooter that Rob had designed that could shoot the snot out of the ball, and we could hit the target from midfield. And that midfield shot was our money shot. We had calibrated it very carefully to be accurate from that specific location, a trait that we've used a couple of times.
This is the top of the key.
At the top of the key.
Yeah.
And that was a safe zone, so it worked pretty well.
But in practice, when we got out on the field, all kinds of things happened. Some of the balls had rub marks on them, and so they were different densities, and they didn't shoot as well, and so we had all kinds of trouble.
The lighting
was different.
Yep.
Right, and so what we ended up doing was Peter figured out how to put crosshairs on the camera. So we still used the camera and we used it to roughly track where we wanted to be. But then the kids, the drivers, used the crosshairs. And I came up with this great analogy of how do they make crop circles. Talk about some of our wins, but we made it all the way to nationals, and we were down by 2 points going into the last few seconds of a match. We got a balance in the middle. We took just a Hail Mary shot from the balance ramp. It went into the 3-point basket, and we won.
And we won it with that shot.
We won that
so what you're saying is that you're talking a little about the end game here. You spend time shooting
right
during the middle of the game, and at the end there are these seesaws, and you had to get 2 or 3 robots on the seesaw and then balance the seesaw.
Yep.
And extra points for that. So we were thinking about ways that we would do that. We don't know the mass distribution of the robot we're playing with. Where is your center of gravity, and how do you get on the ramp? You don't really know about that. So we came up with a couple of really creative solutions.
We had a stake that stuck down and became like a kickstand, so we would drive just over the edge, drop the stake, and then as the other robots came on, the ramp would teeter-totter, stop, and then we'd pull the stake up.
That was great.
And make the balance. And the final thing that we did is we decided that we had to address the fact that the balls were not uniform.
Yeah.
And we invented a device we called the Charminator. which would literally squeeze the ball for
Charminator.
400ths of a second and determine whether it was a hard ball or a soft ball and adjust the shot accordingly.
And we won lots of awards for that.
We want, yeah, I was
That
going
was
to say,
a big design,
yeah, it was a pretty cool design. I'm not sure how effective it was, but it did win a lot of
Right.
awards.
Yeah, it looked good.
I think maybe after a while we stopped using it in the shooting process.
Well, we won 2 districts. We were finalists at Temple University.
Regional championship.
Regional championship. We went out to Atlanta.
No, Washington D.C.
Oh, yeah.
Washington,
Washington
D.C.,
D.C. when we
Finished
picked
as
up
the
a
finalist there.
And then we went to Archimedes division at the World Championship.
Right.
And I think we're out in the semifinals
Yes.
of the Archimedes
But got a triple balance in
at the Worlds.
at the
there.
Worlds,
Yeah.
and so that was pretty exciting. So it's great.
all in a terrific
It
year.
was an amazing first year for me too.
Another-
Really fantastic and inspiring. So
Good.
And another great year for our kids.